Your new projection for one of America's largest reservoirs. U.S. officials warn water levels at Lake Mead will drop even further than they already have, and that, they say, could have serious consequences. Right now, levels at Lake Mead are a little more than 1,000 feet above sea level. In other words, it's only about a quarter full. The lake has dropped more than 170 feet since the turn of the century. Experts now say the root of the problem: historic drought. It's drying up the Colorado River system and forcing officials to take action never seen before. Today, the government announced that 2 southwestern states must drastically cut back on using water. CNBC's Valerie Castro now on the challenges millions of Americans are facing as they brace for a hotter, drier future.
Unprecedented cutbacks to water use from the Colorado River will hit Arizona and Nevada the hardest as drought continues to scorch the Southwest. 40 million people across 7 states rely on the water. Millions more rely on power it generates through the Hoover Dam at Lake Mead and the Glen Canyon Dam at Lake Powell. But years of using up the reservoir supplies are now reaching a critical point.
We just kept spending out of the bank account and saying, this is great. We can keep spending, but we never rebuilt the bank account. We never rebuilt the balance. And now there's no alternative but to call for very large cuts and reductions because there's no more money in the bank account.
Jack Schmidt, director of the Center for Colorado River Studies, says the basin states haven't come to an agreement on their own, while Lake Mead levels have reached a new low, triggering the federally mandated cuts.
Some of the states have tried to say, we think it's a really important problem, and those other guys need to fix it and stop spending. And other states are saying, well, we were willing to cut more, but we'll be damned if we're going to cut more if no one else is going to cut at all.
Everybody has to tighten their belts in this situation.
The new cuts will force Nevada to reduce usage by 8%. Arizona will cut back by 21%. The impact hitting the state's farmers already working with less water.
They're trying to do what they can to reduce, still have production, not fallow lands, but stay in operation to meet the consumer demand.
The cuts today, experts say, not a long-term fix for a climate that continues to dry up.
We are in the last phase of a crisis that could become a catastrophe.
Federal officials say decommissioning the Hoover and Glen Canyon dams is not a likely outcome at this point, but say they are reevaluating the integrity of the structures and taking a close look at how well they can function at low levels of water if physical modifications are made. Kayla?
A few more drops before the taps are shut off automatically. Residents here in Panketal near Berlin are on water-saving mode as an unusually hot summer is endangering groundwater levels.
I get by with automatic watering. I can just set the clock for the regular drinking water, but I also collect rainwater in barrels, which I have a separate system for. So we already try to save water where possible, but when there is no water, we have to abandon some plants.
The drip irrigation means Wolfgang Schiefer can still reap tomatoes, but some other vegetables like zucchini haven't survived the heat. To cope with constantly declining water levels, the municipality has implemented several restrictions this month. It's banned watering gardens and lawns and filling pools from 5 to 9 p.m. That's as the Panke River, which normally flows through the region, has dried up.
The river which gives its name to this community is not there anymore. It's dry. You can walk in the river now. And this is really underlining the severe situation.
Panketal Mayor Maximilian Wonke says the restrictions are only helping to fight the symptoms of climate heating. He says the causes need to be considered too when searching for long-term solutions.
You should talk about the big elephant in the room too. We should also talk about the coal mines in Brandenburg, which are obliged to sink down the groundwater level to work into the ground. And this decreasing level of groundwater takes a lot of water out of the earth. So this is also a kind of consummation because it's not usable anymore afterwards.
Highly polluting coal plants, however, are a solution to another shortage Germany is facing: natural gas from Russia. But getting the coal from A to B is another issue, with water declining not only in Panketal. An empty riverbed and wooden stills are reminders of what normally is the third longest river in Berlin. But it's not only smaller streams like the Panke that are evaporating. Even on Germany's biggest waterways, ships are struggling to stay afloat. Water levels on the Rhine River, one of Europe's key shipping routes, are so low that many cargo vessels had to reduce their loads to a third. 4 ships are now carrying the freight that would normally fit onto one. They include crucial goods ranging from grain to coal. That's why the government has now prepared a decree to give priority to energy equipment on rail networks. Facing a twin shortage, analysts warn energy and water-saving measures may not be enough to save the German economy from heading into a recession this year. Sibel Karkush, TRT World, Panketal.
3 Met Office weather warnings are in effect, including a yellow weather warning for thunderstorms in the East Midlands, East of England, London and South East England, South West England and the West Midlands. Heavy rain has led to flooding in Truro in Cornwall. The Scottish city of Perth had also been flooded, and passengers have been warned to expect delays across the region. And in Combe Florey near Somerset, a mudslide led to road closures, with authorities saying they cleared 50 tonnes of mud. A drought has been declared in Yorkshire, on the flip side, the 9th area of England to be moved to drought status. Sky's science and technology editor, Tom Clark, reports from the River Mole in Surrey.
In places, the River Mole looks more like a gravel track. Here, only a few pools contain what was a healthy fish population.
Going live.
The situation's so bad, the Environment Agency have been forced to wade in. They're using an electric current to stun the trapped fish so they can be rescued and taken downriver where there's more water.
We've looked at every single other option. We can see that the levels aren't going to improve. Even though we've just had rain now, it's just not enough. And because of that, we then have to go to the ultimate stage, which is removing the fish and rescuing them and moving to another place.
Despite the rain, river levels aren't expected to recover anytime soon. Oxygen in the water is dangerously low for fish, and the temperature's dangerously high. They rescued quite a lot of tiddlers. You'll need a bigger bucket and an absolute monster. All the fish, including this 10 or 15 pound pike, are rushed into oxygenated tanks to improve their chances of survival.
Probably get one then if we need to.
Rescuing fish is a pretty drastic measure. It stresses them out and sometimes they don't survive the ordeal. But the ones here on the River Mole are arguably a lot more fortunate than on rivers up and down the country during this drought. The River Dore on the Welsh-English border is also desperately low. Marion Wilding-Jones is a citizen scientist measuring pollution levels. They were bad before, now they're concentrated by the lack of water.
With our regular phosphate testing being often 10, 20 times the target levels, it's become, quite distressing.
She says more urgent action is needed to limit sewage and agricultural runoff into the river.
The river doesn't have time to wait. It just needs to happen now.
The Environment Agency has long been criticised for not policing river pollution well enough. Its funding for monitoring has halved in recent years. It told us it's now investing more and is requiring water companies to do the same. This drought will pass, but the problems facing our rivers will take much longer to solve.
China is grappling with extreme weather. Northern China is being battered by floods and southern China is facing a heat wave. The heat is causing the country to reel under the effects of a drought. It is experiencing its worst heat wave on record, in fact. Temperature records have been broken in several cities. China's National Climate Center predicting the high temperatures will last until the 26th of August. Asia's largest river, the Yangtze, is drying up. Water levels at the Three Gorges Dam at 40% lower than for the same period over the last 4 years. However, it will be releasing 500 million cubic meters of water over the next 10 days to boost water supplies downstream. Local Chinese media reporting that over 11,000 people are having trouble accessing drinking water and that over 141,000 hectares of crops damaged due to the water shortage. China is the world's largest producer of rice, wheat and potatoes, both drought and the floods affecting food production across the country as the world struggles with a grain shortage due to the Russia-Ukraine war. China's water shortage is affecting its economy in multiple ways. The Yangtze River Basin area generates 1/3 of China's GDP. Shanghai, China's economic powerhouse, also lies along the Yangtze. Cities in the basin are dependent on hydroelectric power. The drought is reducing power production and leading to an energy crisis. Industries in the Sichuan province's capital have been forced to shut down from the 15th of August till the 20th, and this includes major firms like Toyota and chipmaker Foxconn. Now, the authorities have started cutting the power supply to malls and residential buildings as well. The heat has both hampered power generation and also increased demand. China has told the government offices to keep air conditioners at 26 degrees Celsius and stop operating elevators for the first 3 floors of buildings. As the drought affects southern China, floods cause havoc in the north, torrential rainfall causing people and vehicles to be swept away in Shanxi province last week. Rains have also caused landslides in China's mountainous regions. In July, China's inflation rose to a 2-year high and led to China's central bank cutting interest rates. Food prices are expected to go up further due to the weather's impact on agriculture. China expects extreme weather to become a common occurrence and that it will regularly take a toll on the economy.